live. We'll do it live. I love that clip. That's a great clip. We are live right now. What's going on, D-Bags? Hope you guys are doing well. We're back here again with another episode of the Detox Podcast, episode 287 to be exact. If you're new here and you enjoy music, podcasts, comedy, or hooping videos, do consider subscribing. We got a whole bunch of that stuff going on around here. When you do subscribe, leave a like or hang out with us in the live chat like you're going to do today. Helps us share conversations and laughs like this with more people. So do consider doing that. Now, before I introduce you guys to my guests this week, I got to talk to you guys a little bit about vacation time. All right, it's that time of the year in the Midwest. It's being completely honest, it's not as cold as I'm cool with it not being super cold, but it is a little concerning that it is. I was wearing shorts this morning on my way to my workout. Now, granted, it was still like 40 degrees, but for me, that's warm in the winter if you're from the Midwest. But there is snow up north. It's going to keep snowing, hopefully. And if you're interested or you're down with that and the activities that surround it, whether that's snowmobiling, whether that's skiing, snowboarding, etc., today's video sponsor, Alpine House 2, is the place to go. Alpine House 2 is a classic Swiss chalet A-frame duplex with a log cabin interior. They've got tons of different arcade games, your favorite comic book heroes. On top of that, it's actually directly across the street from the Ski Brûlée Resort in Iron River, Michigan. So if you are a fan of skiing or whatnot, definitely check them out on Airbnb. That's at Alpine House 2. You can also reach out to them on Instagram. Tell them Rita or Detox sent you. That's at ALPINEHAUS number 2 on Instagram, at Alpine House 2. Tell them Rita sent you or Detox sent you, and they're going to set you guys up with a great vacation. It's that time of year. Plus, they got snowmobiles and other stuff, too. You can do add-ons and whatnot. Check them out over on Airbnb or Instagram. Shout out to them for sponsoring today's episode. Now, now we're here, actually. We got to welcome back. We got to give a whet Detox welcome to a comic here in Milwaukee who's celebrating, I believe, 2 years, right? 2 years of comedy. Syed is back in the building.
What's up?
You're here. You're in the flesh. Congrats, man, for real, on 2 years. That's impressive.
Thank you. Yeah.
My brother just got into comedy. He just started doing stand-up. Yeah. He's out in New York. He just started over there.
I've seen him.
They've got dude, there's a lot of mics out there. It's
yeah,
crazy.
and from what I heard, you have to pay to go to the mics.
Yeah, I think he just works to support going to the mics. Yeah. He lives in this room we're in is pretty tight.
Yeah.
I think I guess our audience won't be able to see, but basically that corner is all he has. It's a 4-person shared living thing.
Yeah.
They all get a little a little closet that their bed is in, just enough to fit their bed.
Yeah.
And then they get a shared living room, probably the size of this whole room, and then a bathroom.
Yeah.
To share.
Yeah. I'm just picturing paying to go to mics and then bombing and going home broke.
Yeah, dude,
and
that would suck.
Learning anything other than your jokes aren't good.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't imagine. It's got to be scary, I imagine. He's doing a ton of mics from what he's told me, so it's I don't know, man. It's not like that out here. They're not making you guys pay for these open mics.
No,
right?
No.
Okay.
Some of these folks should, but
some of them should. No. Yeah, sitting through. How do you feel after 2 years, man? It's gotta feel good. Do you feel? I hope you would feel more confident on stage now at this point, 2 years in, than you did day one.
I do for sure. Yeah, I just recently made one of those posts about what my year was like, and then when I sorted through all of it, I was like, wow, I've done a lot, but I'm also someone who is never satisfied in the moment. I'm always thinking, oh man, I should be at this stature, but I'm at this stature. I should be doing this. My joke should be at this point now, but I'm still here. I rarely sit back and just enjoy the fact that I've done fairly well by the standards of a 2-year comic.
Yeah. I mean, is it hard in comedy, because I feel like everybody's on such a different timeline? There's so many factors at play, and there's, to be fair, I think stand-ups, as someone who's not a stand-up, so maybe I can't speak on it, you guys do work really hard. There's definitely got to be an element of luck, in who progresses, where faster. Is it hard with the comparison of other people in the same field, or maybe other people you think at a different age, or maybe they're at a similar time, they've been doing it the same amount as you, or less time, or whatever? How does that play in?
It's so to do well, you do have to be good, period, but it's as much about the networking, socializing aspect of it as like anything else.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I beat myself up about, where like I should be doing more to introduce myself to certain people, being more present in the moment rather than just doing my set and going home and this and that.
Should we get you? So we need to get you into some Diddy parties, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could help. I mean, who do you think, if there's a comic in the Milwaukee scene, is there somebody that could maybe fill the shoes of Diddy here on a local level? Anybody that you think could throw us like a Diddy party on the comic scene? Or maybe me. I mean, I don't know. I've had a lot of comics on the show. Maybe I should throw a Diddy party.
Well, Mark Vegas did just move. So.
He's out in New York now too, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Mark. But he could have probably been like the Diddy over here.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that would be fun. Or maybe the folks over at Laughing Tap, they could do like a Diddy party over there. No?
I doubt it. They are, they are very serious there about what is and is not okay, which is good.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I got scared for a second where you were going. That's good. No, yeah, that's interesting though. Like the I do feel like comedy specifically is probably so the networking aspect of it is probably so important.
Yeah,
because it's like if somebody's just your friend, like if let's say one of your homies just gets like a big break and all of a sudden, you know, maybe they caught a couple clips, went viral, and people want to see them and they do like a little Midwest tour or something. If I'm somebody who's at like let's say you and I were at the same stage and all of a sudden I got this big break, I'd be like, well, you're my homie. You just want to come with me on this little tour?
That's
like
typically how it goes. The out of town people do tend to bring in their own features and
like I'm definitely bringing one of the homies with. I mean, sure, we'll have other people on the local scene to help that out too on the bill, but like I'm of course bringing my friends with. And I feel like comedy specifically, it's got to be super interesting to tour, because I've been wondering this as like a musician. Like I had a big show earlier this year where like we had to move a lot of equipment. There's different bandmates and a drummer. Yeah. Mind you, drummers, they got all these different drums and they're complaining about the way that they're stacked. You gotta kiss it before you roll it into this blanket, and then you gotta tie it up. All this shit. Whereas comedy, it's like, does the venue have a microphone? And are people gonna be seated? And it's like just you and the bros like could just get in the car and just drive to the next venue. I mean, obviously bring some clothes, hopefully so you don't stink. But like, other than that, like that sounds like a lot of fun. Do you have? Would you be down? Would you like to like tour maybe more?
Yeah, that's definitely on the to-do list. It's just a matter of knowing that you can reliably do shows at various towns, and typically for someone who is relatively young, it would in how long they've been doing stand-up, it would be a matter of finding the right person who will take you with them.
Yeah. What do we got to do to get you on tour, man? Let's speak it into existence for 2025.
Sure.
What do we got to do? Maybe, I don't know if that would be a goal of yours by the end of 2025 or something like that. Not to put that on you.
Yeah.
What could we do? What can I do? Other than we're going to have a bunch of clips of you coming out soon, but what can we do to galvanize behind you and put you up? You were the first comic on this show, and you started a trend, so I owe it to you.
Do you personally know Hassan Minaj or Aziz Ansari at all? Because I think I would be a good fit for.
I don't know either of them, but I have friends that have seen them live. So a lot of friends that have seen them live. But I just, what's funny about Aziz? I just started watching Parks and Rec recently, and he's hilarious in that show. Yeah, like he's actually hilarious. I think his stand-up is funnier.
I was about to say you say that like he's not funny.
No, his stand-up is way funnier. Yeah, but I didn't see, like, from the first few episodes, I was like, I don't know if he fits in a show like this. I was like, but obviously I don't know. I'm sure that was kind of the show that like broke him onto the scene for everybody to know who he was. But for like me, I know him from his stand-up specials and stuff. I've seen that first. And I think he's in like 30 Minutes or Less and some good films I've seen. So I'm kind of like watching it in retrospect. Like I haven't, I'm late to Parks and Rec. Yeah. And I come to it and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work. And now I'm almost done with the show. I think I got like a season left. Yeah. It works, man. He's hilarious.
You know what I think is missing right now are movies made by and starring comics. Yeah. Like we have not had those consistently in a while.
No, you know what we need? I was just talking with friends about this. We need even bad ones. Yeah. Even like bad ones that are just funny to people that are fans of them. Have you seen Norbit? with Eddie Murphy?
I might have, like,
Dude,
a very
Eddie
long
Murphy,
time ago.
he plays Norbit, who's this like weird nerdy character whose parent he's an orphan. His parents like throw him out of a car as a baby, and he rolls to this. It's like an Asian hut that turns out to be a restaurant and an orphanage, and Eddie Murphy plays the Chinese man who brings him in, so his adoptive father, and we'll pull it up, dude. It's actually insane, and he plays his like toxic wife, Rasputia, who's like 500 pounds. He plays all three of them, and he's amazing. It's so fun. It's fucked up. It's a fucked up film, and I'm sure it did terrible.
Does Eddie do the Chinese accent?
Yeah, dude.
That's not a good rook. It's not a good rook,
dude,
at all.
It's crazy looking back at this, but I remember watching this movie as a kid. I didn't even know until like 2 years ago that Eddie Murphy played the Asian.
Yeah. Well, I think he tends to play almost the whole main cast in like a lot of his films, right?
I think for a time that was like the thing, right? Because didn't Tyler Perry had like a whole thing where all these movies he produced, like it would be like a star, and then they would just play everybody. Because I mean, like Eddie Murphy did Doctor
Dolittle.
Is it Doctor Dolittle?
Yeah.
He played everybody in that, or Doctor Who or something. He played not Doctor Who. It's Doctor Dolittle.
Yeah,
he plays like everybody in that too.
Yeah.
But yeah, look at some images of this dude. It's actually, I mean, it's got to be wrong.
Yeah.
It's got to be wrong, but also, maybe we need some more movies that are fucked up like this.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
What would be a premise? Pitch me a movie right now. Pitch me a movie. Pitch me a comic movie, or who is someone you would like to see in a starring role? Maybe that's a comic out there. Because there's a lot of people I thought would be better, and then I saw them in acting roles.
Yeah.
And they weren't so funny. Like I saw Andrew Schultz, who I was been a fan of for a long time. Met him in real life.
Yeah.
And he was in a couple movies, and I was like, oh, like him acting was not his strong suit.
No. I think with movies that are by and star at comics, the move is for the role to just be who they really are, because they're not trained actors. So I think the best movies from them are just them playing characters who are very true to life. That's what Sandler did for the longest time.
I love those movies.
Some of the all-time funniest movies in culture, I think, is just Adam Sandler being the goofball he actually is.
Yeah. I mean, I think Will Ferrell too he had a stretch there too where he was basically the same character. I mean, a little bit different in each movie, but very similar in all these films. I think who could do it today? I think Bill Burr could probably do it. There's a character there. Like you could make like a grumpy. He's
dabbled in acting, not so much in the starring feature
in supportive roles.
And
he's been great.
Yeah.
Like I thought, I haven't seen The King of Staten Island yet, but I heard he's good in that.
Yeah,
and he was cool in Star Wars.
I loved that he played himself in a Star Wars show.
Yeah,
because it establishes that there is a planet Boston in the Star Wars.
Yeah.
Where people just talk like that.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious too, because it like everyone pulls up like the clip from like a couple years before that where he's just like absolutely shitting on like the new Star Wars, has like no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And people are like, he's like, I don't care about it, I don't watch it, I don't care. And the fact that he was then in Mandalorian, I just thought that was so cool, and his character was awesome.
I'm sure he had no idea what was going on even as he was there. Well,
yeah. His character was dope though. I don't know. I thought it was good. Yeah. Who else, or who do you think maybe could star in one that's out there right now? Is there any big names you think you'd like to see in a leading role? Maybe write and be in their own film?
Yeah, I would watch a Gillis movie. I think he has a show.
Tires, right? Isn't it? Like he works at an auto body shop.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I've seen clips of that, and that's pretty funny. So I'm sure he could find something. Like, just be you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do need some more of that. That's actually a good point. I haven't thought of it that way, that it needs to just be like somebody doing their own thing.
Yeah, or just like a bunch of them like that. This is the this is the
end
movie. Yeah.
Oh, dude.
That was so that might have been the last one like that.
Yeah, that movie, for people that haven't seen it too, is so funny. It's just like over the top. They're all playing like exaggerated either what we think they are like in their private lives, like all these actors, because they play themselves, literally play themselves.
Yeah.
Like they're not even a character. Like James Franco plays James Franco, but they play either what we think that they would be like, or like the complete contradiction of that. Like Jonah Hill, like is supposed to be like this like sweet guy the whole movie, and then I think James is like such a piece of shit. Or everybody like kind of hates Jonah Hill because he's so nice, and I don't know, that shit is actually funny. I would like to see. I'm trying to think who I would want to see in a movie that they were just kind of playing themselves. I think, my mind just goes to Burr, because I think he could just play like an angry dude, like just an angry like sports fan, which I think they just did like a SNL skit with him doing that. He was like some fan of a terrible team, but like have him just play a Bears fan, dude. Yeah, a Bears fan that lives in Boston.
I think Chappelle going back into acting from like his half baked days.
Yeah, he could do a movie easily. Yeah, because that's the thing too. I think a lot of, I don't know. It's hard. As someone who's not a comic, I don't want to like speak on this stuff, but it is tough to like tell like whose stuff would correlate to like to a movie.
Did you see it came out like a year or so ago with Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill?
Yeah, I did see that. And people had mixed reactions on that.
It was interesting.
I thought it wasn't the worst movie ever. Yeah. But I will say most of the Netflix movies that come out, like they feel like Netflix movies. Like they feel kind of good. Like the writing is just a little bit, like it feels like somebody I know made that. You know, like you watch like a friend student film and you're like, it's like you can see that it
doesn't feel like cinema to you.
Yeah, like it's going somewhere. You're like, I see what you're doing. I know you don't have the resources yet to pull it all the way off. Yeah. But like I like it. And it was like the same thing. Like I thought like, okay, kind of interesting idea. There was a couple funny scenes, but like it just felt
I think that's where a lot of people are now, where the industry is, where it's very formulaic and it wraps up easily in a nice little bow, because you kind of have to match how people are likely going to be on their phones while they're watching the film. I don't know where it is. I have like a friend who is involved in writing and film, and she was talking about how studios have advised people to write shows where the characters out loud say what they are doing as they are doing it, to counteract the fact that the viewer might not be watching.
That's so fucking lame.
Yeah.
That's so fucking lame, man. I believe it. I think I heard something similar to that online. Like there's been a discussion about that on TikTok, is that there is such a struggle to keep people's attention. Dude, there's like, I mean, there's so many gimmicks. There was just one, there's like these like, it's basically like a game. Like it's a pick your own adventure movie. Yeah. Where they film all these different scenarios. Oh, yeah. There was like a rom-com that Netflix did where, and don't get me wrong, it's like kind of funny to do, but I'm like, it's so cheaply made. Yeah. It's such a bad, like it's so dumb. Like it was fun to do because of how bad it was. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to remember this forever. Like this is a moving experience. And I think like, I don't know. I just think that they have to make these things so cheap. So that's probably why they come out so formulaic. And with the streaming services, it's like they're never making enough money. So like I don't know.
And you can't really get too invested in a show anymore. It's very rare that a show will go the distance as far as seasons.
Yeah, and actually Netflix has been under a little bit of fire for that recently, because they do this thing where like the only way that they can make a good episode or a good season of TV is to do like what they do with like Outer Banks, right? Where it's like completely all unknown actors. So they're getting them for super cheap. But then what happens is like the writing takes a massive dip in the second season, because now you got to pay all these kids because they're fucking stars.
Because now they're stars, yeah.
Yeah, and so and Netflix doesn't want to do it. And so then these shows, and not saying Outer Banks, I think Outer Banks is still going on, but I know there's been several other shows that like had pretty solid first seasons and even second seasons, and they're like, we're just not gonna be too expensive to pay everybody.
Yeah, I think people are starting to pick up on, if there is a new show that they might like, not to get their hearts too set in it.
Yeah. Well, and they waited. Like, I understand that it's not maybe great for our human brains to sit there and watch 8 seasons, of 40-minute episodes, and there's 22 episodes in a season of a TV show. Because
And
I
they all
have
come
done
out
that.
at the same time.
I have done that, you know.
Yeah.
But like, I understand that dropping a whole season is not good for my mental health. There's probably something wrong with that. But I think it's so whack that we have like reverted back to the weekly release schedule just for the sole purpose of keeping people's subscriptions longer.
Sure.
Because they know so many people do this thing now where they like, oh, Invincible's coming out in
Yeah.
a couple weeks. I'm gonna get Amazon. Once that's done, I'm canceling Amazon because I know Bridgerton comes out on Netflix. So I'm gonna do that. And it's like, I don't know, dude. Like if you guys actually just had like good shit consistently going out,
Yeah.
we wouldn't need to do that. I wouldn't have to cancel all of them. But I'm canceling this because you got trash on all, so I'll wait till the next season of
Yeah.
The Boys comes out to renew my Amazon, you know, in some cases. I understand why people do that, you know.
Gen V was so hard for me to watch.
Was it really? I actually
Yeah.
really liked that.
It got good.
The first episode
It got
was a little,
good in the second swing. It
Yeah.
was also a very weird transition going from The Boys to that. 'Cause you
Sure,
went
yeah.
from this adult show that uses superheroes as kind of like a prop to really talk about politics and culture and media, and then you go from that and it's like a teen
Yeah.
drama,
Yeah.
and it takes a while for it to get into the main boy
meat and
story, the
potatoes,
meat
yeah.
of it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
once it does, it's good. I'm glad I stuck with it. I kind of have to, because I'm like not capable of not watching every single thing of
Yeah.
a verse if I feel like there's a
Something good there.
even if it's not good, I just have to know that I saw all of it.
Yeah, okay. I feel that too. That's something that I've had to really battle myself when it comes
Yeah.
to Star Wars.
Yeah.
Because I love Star Wars.
I did eventually
I had
give
to
up
stop.
on Star Wars.
I had to. It's so sad, dude. It's
yeah.
so sad. But I can't. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It's just so bad. And it looks bad. Star Wars cannot look bad. Even the fucking sequel trilogy,
Yeah.
I think I think they're bad. That's my official stance for people that don't. I've shitted on it so many times. I think they're bad. I think because they didn't have a plan. There's a million.
We talked about this off screen. You think they should stop casting people with brown skin
No,
and go
that's
back
not
to
what
the
we
you were
said.
saying that
is not what we said.
it's woke for their
Yeah, that's funny.
people of different races.
The wokeness, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what got rid of it. No, dude, it just like I can't, like those movies were bad, but
Yeah.
they still look beautiful.
Sure.
It still looks good.
Yeah.
It's still Star Wars. So I could sit there in the theater and be like, all right, this is bad, but I'm glad I saw it. Similar to like we were saying, it's like, well, I have to have seen everything, so I did. And since then, dude, it has just gotten harder and harder. Like there's,
Yeah, I've like resigned. As long as I've seen the movies, I feel like I'm caught up
yeah,
as much as I need to be.
yeah. That's exactly it. That's what I'm gonna watch Andor season 2 when that comes
Yeah.
out because that show was awesome. And then apparently they're working on a movie that keeps getting delayed. But whenever that comes out, I'll watch it.
Isn't it crazy how if you see a movie and it's like 3 hours long, you're like, that's way too long. But if there's a show that comes out with a whole season in one day and the episodes are like 40
Yeah,
minutes each, you'll watch the whole
Yeah.
the whole thing in like one sitting.
dude, it's I've seen The Vampire Diaries 3 times.
Really? Who was your favorite character on
Damon.
the Vampire
Damon. Have you seen
I see that.
Vampire Diaries?
Yeah, I like Damon at the start, but like the
Mhm.
more the show continued, I did not like half redeemed Damon, because I thought he was still like completely full of shit and people just let him get away with things that no one else would. My favorite character was Kai.
I thought he was super well done.
He was probably the best villain of the show.
Dude, there was
my
no
humble
beating him,
opinion.
bro.
Yeah.
There was no beating him, and I'm not gonna spoil how it did happen, but I did love the way
I just
it went
love
out.
how I just love how he was like committed to just being a bad person all the time.
Yeah,
And because that show is all about how bad guys secretly have a desire to do good and to be loved, and Kai had every opportunity. But it was like, no, I just kind of enjoy.
Yeah. That's
being
true.
a
That's
piece
a
of
good
shit.
point, dude.
Like-
Yeah, dude, that is such a good point. Yeah, he really was, dude. And his like the actor that played him, like,
Yeah.
just his smile that he was always so happy while he was doing evil shit.
Yes.
And it was. I genuinely hated that guy watching that season. Like that whole season, you're just like, bro, what the fuck is this dude on?
He's like if Wade Wilson had no soul and just wanted to take over the world. Is his personality, I think.
Yeah, I will say I might have to fucking just
This is
rewatch a couple
probably-
random episodes.
This is probably going to distance a lot of people who are watching this, but I hated how he was written off the show, because they did the thing in season 6 where he suddenly had these new human feelings like put in him because he merged with someone else. So suddenly he had this newfound humanity, and he wanted to kind of prove himself, but then they kind of just like threw that out the window and had him go full evil again, and then get killed off. They did that because he got cast on a different show that the writer of that show was also doing.
Okay, yeah.
That show only lasted one season. So the role that Enzo had in the final seasons, and his story with Bonnie, that was going to be Kai's.
Really?
Yeah, which I thought would have been so much more interesting.
Dude, I didn't know that you were a fucking Vampire Diaries dude like this, bro. Did you watch any of the originals when that show came out?
Yeah,
the spinoff?
I've seen all of them, except I've only seen like the first season of
Legacies.
Yeah,
I couldn't watch that one.
Yeah,
I was like, this is rough. It just was like, I don't care enough.
Kai was good.
Was he in it?
Yeah.
He's in it?
Yep.
How did they bring him back?
They end up having to go to the prison world for plot reasons, and then he's still there. Yeah.
Wow. I just remember, I'm like, the originals I thought was pretty decent too, actually. I think I just was like, I think once a show has you like that, and that's the thing with Netflix now, like with basically only streamers making TV.
Yeah.
They like, if they have to pay these actors, they don't want to pay these actors.
Yeah, those are the kind of shows that we're probably not gonna get back ever.
You'll never get that again, dude. I mean, think about how many hours of fucking content you have.
Yeah,
and that's what, like, that was sort of my original example. What I was alluding to is like, there's 8 seasons of Vampire Diaries, and all of them except for the last one are 22 episodes long, 20 to 22 episodes long, and they're like 40-minute episodes. And then you have the originals, which is like the same thing for 4 or 5 seasons. And then Legacies, I think, went for a season or 2. So it's like
Legacies lasted like 4. I think.
Did it go 4?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I watched like a couple episodes, and I was like, dude, I love fucking Alaric and Caroline, but like to see them once in a while, like I don't care that much to sit through this. That's crazy. I did not know that. It's interesting when there's like off-screen stuff that writers have to deal with. Like, I would hate to be a writer that like has a vision, especially for, I think, TV, because like if an actor gets another role that they're either going to be starring in or they get picked up for like a movie or something, having to try to accommodate that and make that work with your original vision, like that was something that bothered me on the new season of The Boys. We're getting into super nerdy territory for people that don't know, but that's what we're going to do. The new season of The Boys, it really sucked because like Butcher and Huey are basically separated the whole season because of their fucking, Butcher's doing Mortal Kombat. He's filming for that, and Huey's like, isn't he like voicing like young Superman or something in some other TV show, and he's got some other things. So these guys were on like 2 separate plots. Yeah. And the boys together, I think someone like broke it down. They weren't fully together as a team for even like a total of like an episode in like time. Like, it's like, that's kind of sucks, when that happens. I mean, I think they still did a great job with the season. I think it was well done. They focused a lot more on Homelander. Yeah. I think I'm
excited to see how he is going to ultimately lose. Because you can argue the show has been building up to him needing to die, but also what will be worse for him, to die or to have to live the rest of his life with no powers, just being a regular human who he's looked down on this whole time.
Dude, I saw someone say that if they find a way to take away his powers, and like at the ending scene is like him having to fucking work at a Whataburger. Bro, like that would be crazy. That would be crazy satisfying.
That show is so good at dissecting the psychology of broken / flawed men. Like, that's what the whole show is about. Just like you'll the characters are either good but like very flawed, and then it examines why, or characters are just like complete pieces of shit, and then it examines why in a way that humanizes them but doesn't excuse them either.
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job. You know what was interesting about that show, and especially that it's like it's all. I feel like that's another one of these things where like I think people's media literacy. That show highlighted people's like lack of media literacy, in that like it's very clearly been making political statements since like the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And it took until this most recent season, where this was the 4th season, right?
Yeah.
I think we're going into the last season, for people to understand that Homelander was
They've been doing it. There's people who think that they understand that he's not like a hero, but they thought he was like a shades of gray. It's like he's kind of good, but he's kind of bad, kind of like an anti-hero. No, dude, he murdered a child in the first episode.
Yeah, like he's a terror. Like
yeah,
like I don't know how they made it so obvious
Yeah.
that he was a stand-in for Trump. Like if Trump was Superman,
yeah,
you know, like they made it so and as the seasons went on, they've said that they like painted on him more. Like the tan is worse. The dyeing of the hair, they highlighted him like getting older and him having to like dye his hair and all this shit. Like, it's so blatantly obvious. He says Trump has said that if he shot someone in Fifth Avenue, people would cheer for him.
They
did that.
The scene. He killed a man, and they've been doing it the whole time. But I think season 4 got more into like actual politics, and that's when it clicked for some people.
Yeah.
And they don't like to admit that they got God for the first 3 seasons, especially when they weren't even trying to get them.
Yeah.
Like
They
the
weren't
show
trying
was
to
not
trick
trying
you.
to trick people and
Yeah.
thinking. It was just like rather than admit, hey, I'm kind of dumb, and I thought that this character was supposed to be a positive depiction of a conservative man, and it took me this long to figure out that they were making fun of me the whole time.
Yeah.
But rather than admit that, they'll be like, well, they were more equal with making fun of both sides before.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they do make fun of the left, but they do it in a different way. They make fun of the left from the standpoint of, this is what most of the people watching the show and the people who wrote this show are supposed to stand for, but we are full of shit in these like specific ways.
Yeah, they point
it's kind
out
of just like examining your own flaws.
they point out some of the performative
yeah.
elements of being a leftist that people
Yeah.
like leftists online will do, or like the fact that like these big corporations will have their Pride Month,
Yeah.
but like simultaneously absolutely give no fucks about gay people, like there's
Yeah.
and I think that, and I thought they've done that tremendously, and it's just so interesting that people were able to be on maybe the other side of that aisle and like see that, like the girls get it done scene and be like, haha, like they're making fun of Marvel for doing the fucking scene with all the girls, and
No,
like,
they're making fun
they're
of
making
how,
fun of corporations.
Yeah, they're making fun of how transparent it is that these corporations don't give a fuck about
exactly
feminism or gay rights or
but they'll just do it to make money. That's what, like, I think
Yeah.
at one of the like theme parks, there's like some gay concession stand that's like
Yeah.
Maeve themed by like Maeve's shit after she came out because Homelander forced her to come out.
Brave Maeve.
Yeah, dude, it's just hilarious the way they do it.
When they film like the Justice League style films where the characters play themselves in the
Yeah.
movies, and there was the movie they were filming. It was supposed to be Maeve's public coming out,
Yeah,
and she saved like this girl who's gay, and Maeve was like, I'm more like you than you think, and the camera zooms in on her face, and she just says, I'm gay, and it's
so good, dude. It's just so good, man. And like, I don't know, even that too, like I thought it was hilarious how they sort of like poke fun at like the Snyder cut and that whole situation that happened. And I know we were talking before we went live, and you mentioned that you wanted to maybe talk about this today, is that there's been somewhat of an uproar from a small group of people that are diehard Zack Snyder fans, because of this new Superman trailer.
Sure.
What's going on? Can you take us into that for a second for people that maybe are unaware of the whole situation here?
Yeah, I grew up on like the Christopher Reeve Superman because because those were what I watched on VHS, as well as the cartoons and the shows and the comics themselves. So I always had this image of Superman as like this very bright character that's supposed to instill hope in a very traditional and idealistic way.
Yeah.
And when I saw the Snyder Superman movies, I was always kind of neutral. It's like, like I see the vision, and it's okay, I guess. Maybe not my thing. Until I saw the new Superman trailer, where they brought back the classic themes of the character. I did not realize just how much I actually hated the Snyder Superman.
Really?
Yeah, because listen, I like gritty and dark storytelling.
Yeah.
But pretty much every superhero movie made after the year 2000 is that.
Yeah.
And listen, Punisher is probably my favorite MCU show.
Yeah.
I love Batman and so on and so forth. But it's like, why do we need to make Superman
Batman? Yeah,
gritty and edgy also? Like those movies were dark to the point that like the physical screen was dark. Yeah.
I think that's something that I'm glad you brought that up. That's something that I've criticized the MCU about a ton. Is like, I think they struck gold with Iron Man and the original cast, right? Like I think they did a really good job with those guys.
Yeah.
I think they've done a great job. I think casting has never been the issue in the MCU.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they usually cast the right people. But I think like the writing slowly devolved into like everybody likes Tony Stark. He's everybody's favorite, or most people's favorite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just make everybody talk like him. And it's like, why? Like he's Tony Stark. He should be like that, right? There's these great gritty like dark stories that we love.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Batman with eyeliner. I want to see him not sleep and having to like plug his fucking whatever I forget what they're called. Shit you put in your eyes. What do you put in your eyes?
Yeah.
Whatever that is. Contacts. He putting his contacts into the computer to like analyze what he saw the night before because he can't even fucking remember. Like sure. I like seeing him alone and beaten and all this shit, right? But like Superman, he's not Batman.
I think there was a period of time where Superman, when the more realistic style superheroes were coming into prominence, he was starting to be considered like the outdated, boring one.
Yeah.
And I think given that most superhero stories these days are grounded more in reality and taking itself very seriously and being morally gray, that there is more for a call for a character like Superman to exist as himself. And Superman is meant to be an ideal of what a hero and the world could be and should be. He's not meant to reflect how dark and morally gray real life actually is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in making him that way, you're just making him like every other superhero film. Whereas to me, I get different things out of different characters. I watch Batman for a very specific reason. I watch Superman to remind myself that there is value in just seeing the best in people and being kind.
Yeah, doing good, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's something too. It's interesting that you mentioned that it's been so many films since then. I think that's like spilled into everything. And I think even like when you look at like Luke Skywalker, right? Like Luke Skywalker for the longest time is like he's the same way in a lot of ways as Superman. Like he just sees the good. Like, yeah, he's a little bitch, whatever, when he's like first growing up, but in Empire, he's like trying to, you know, after when he finds out his dad, he's pretty hurt about that. But after that, he's still trying to see the good in his dad, and he knows this dude smoked tons of people, blew up planets, like is a terrible human being. He's like still trying to see his good in his dad. But then you get to the sequels, and they like, I think again, because they just like want to subvert your expectations.
Yeah,
they're like, well, he did try to kill his nephew in his sleep because he had a bad dream about him. are we
Yeah.
for real? Like, and I know that's like dumbing it down, but it's like, are we for real, man? That's Luke Skywalker, and I feel like it's got to be the same way. Again, I'm not as big of a fan of Superman. I'm not like following him
Yeah.
like that, but I imagine if you are someone who like maybe loves the essence of Superman, seeing it in this other way has got to be a little like, all right, like I get what I
Yeah,
understand what you're trying to tell me, but I don't know that
the Zack Snyder movies, I think, were Superman for people who never liked Superman. Like a lot of them, a lot of people I know who like those films will say, well, that's the first time that I ever liked him or cared or cared about a Superman story.
Yeah, so it's like you just don't like Superman.
You can just watch any other superhero movie, and it's gonna give you the kind of content that you want.
Yeah, that you're into.
And and you can hear how much they don't really care for what the Superman character is meant to be. I'm talking about like the more vocal Snyder Bro Chads, and it's always just pointing to how the Henry Cavill Superman looks more alpha.
Ooh.
and how the new costume's gay.
Yeah.
And
I did hear that. I heard that it was gay, and I'm like,
yeah, he's wearing he's wearing his tights. He's wearing his underwear outside of his tights as Superman does.
Oh, I do think that's always
and they're saying that they're making it for kids. It's like
there's some toys for all these movies.
Like imagine like how full of yourself you have to be like Superman should not be a character for children to look up to.
Why? I'm just confused. Like, why? I don't know, man. I always think it's funny. I could understand thinking it's a little goofy putting the underwear on over the top, but who's to say it's done like that and it's not in the suit?
It is goofy, and I think it is meant to be that way because the actor who plays him, David Cornsweet, I think, it was actually his call to bring the
undies back.
And his idea was that Superman is a character who, based on the powers that he has, could be a very scary figure. So he wants to go out of his way to make people
not be afraid of him.
Yeah, and to make children feel like he's a wrestler on TV.
Yeah. Superman's got to have a pretty good bulge though too, right? Like for the people, maybe the lady audience that wants to go see Superman. Like I think if you have the underwear, that adds like it just highlights that zone.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they were going for that too. Like just give something for everybody. Yeah, this movie's for kids. I gotta look like Superman does in the comics, but also maybe the ladies want to come to the show. I don't know. You think so?
It's fair.
Maybe. I could see it. I could see it being the case. Who's your favorite superhero then? Before we segue off of comic book stuff and whatnot.
Favorite superhero? Childhood, definitely Superman. I was kind of like raised on that. Teenage years, probably Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Young and then as an adult, I probably gravitated to the Loki character the most, who is not a superhero, but
yeah. Do you like his MCU interpretation? What they've done with him?
Yeah, I thought
Hiddleston's a pretty good
Hiddleston
cast
did a pretty good job of playing that character as a villain, but in a way that over time made it reasonable that he would make the changes that he did over time, because he never became a good person, but he in the films he
before his show
never became a good person. He just kind of repaired his relationship with Thor, and the show is a whole different thing. I know people have mixed feelings on that, but I think it when you get into the root of his character's desires and really break them down, I think it makes sense that he gradually, step by step, went the route that he did.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's interesting that Loki's one of your favorites. I think as I've gotten older, Loki, at least in the MCU specifically, has definitely been a favorite of mine. I was big. I wasn't really big on superheroes growing up. I loved Spider-Man. I
Mhm.
think that most kids do, though. So like that wasn't any shocker there. But then as I got older, I did not expect to like. I got into the MCU late. Like I like almost refused to really watch any of it. And then I like went to a theater to see Civil War with a friend and was like, oh, like I rock with this dude. Like this dude's dope. Like I fuck with what he's doing. And then I still didn't even get into it until like around the time Black Panther was coming out. I saw that in theaters, and then I went back and like rewatched everything. And I've seen every movie now probably at least 4 or 5 times. Like I live and breathe it. Like I fucking love it, at least the film wise. And I did not expect to be just like a cliche. I love Iron Man, but I think Iron Man.
How do you feel about them bringing RDJ back as Doom?
I think there's a lot of like from what I've heard. So I like. That's another thing. Whenever there's like a character that's announced, I always try to go to the comics and like try to like watch videos on it and like because when it's like a character I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I've only really I'm super balls deep into the films, but it's like I don't know the history like that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what is Doctor Doom about? And I'm doing all this research on him, and I'm like, I don't know that it makes a lot of sense if they want to go like super faithful.
Mm-hmm.
I think if they want to do. If this is going to be like an MCU specific story and they want to really lean into what they created, then I think there's a lot of weight there. Like I think they can do
that
something.
He's definitely not a Tony Stark variant.
They have not confirmed that. Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like so I could see that being a case where it's like oh like look at like Civil War went a different way and then he made these other moves. Maybe Ultron is created and I don't know. I think it could be cool. I think it could be cool.
Sure.
I think it could be really bad. Like he's a super talented actor. I'm sure he's going to do a good job, but it'll just be like if it makes sense or not. And I don't know. I think they're bringing the Russo brothers back to do the 2 movies, so that'll be interesting. I will say I wasn't a fan of Kang when he was there. I thought like super interesting the way they built him up.
Mm-hmm.
And then as I'm just like digging into him, like I just think as a villain he's kind of lame.
Yeah.
Like even in the comic, he just loses. That's all he does in the comics. He just loses, but there's an infinite amount of him.
Yeah.
He just he's a walking L. He gets bodied, and then another version of him comes from the future and gets fucking bodied again. He kills a couple Avengers every once in a while, but he just gets smoked through all of eternity. Yeah. And I'm supposed to be scared of some army of him? I don't bring him on. He's
took
a
a
chump.
massive L in real life also. So
that too. Yeah, that too. He did take a massive. He was like the
losing
biggest
and
actor who
losing
was
and
on the
losing,
ride.
yeah.
So I just thought his motivation makes no sense. Like at least
Mhm.
Thanos, I know they doctored his motivation from the comics because it was like he wanted to impress Lady Death and all this shit. And they're like, well, let's tweak that a little bit and make it a little bit more noble. And I think that really, really worked. So like, I don't know why they couldn't just do that with Kang. Like find some reason for like he has no reason. He just wants to conquer everything. And it's like it's super hard when you go from that's fine for maybe a standalone run of the mill Marvel movie. But like if this is your overarching guy, like Thanos, and we have to follow up Thanos, who was so well done, I just thought it was lame. I was like, and then he got bodied by Ant-Man, and I was like, they better write this dude out right now.
Yeah.
And they did, not because they wanted to, because he got in trouble though. So it kind of worked out for them in a way.
Yeah.
Him getting in trouble. Maybe it was a conspiracy against him. Maybe they conspired against him. Maybe the council of Feige's got together and were like, let's get this guy liquored up.
MCU big bad, RDJ does have a history of being very good at taking black roles.
He does. Maybe he plays when they write him out. How insane would that be? It's Kang. It's the back of Kang's helmet.
Kang, yeah.
It's the back of Kang's helmet, and it's at the Council of Kangs. You
Yeah.
can see this crowd. It's a crowd, so it's kind of blurry. You can't really see all of them. And then like he turns around, and it's fucking RDJ.
Yeah.
As his Tropic Thunder character in the Kang outfit, and the thing comes off.
Or Doom is about to take out all the Kangs, and he's like, I'm gonna kill you people. And then RDJ turns around, asks Kang, what do you mean, you people?
Dude, that would go so crazy. That would go so crazy, dude. Someone needs to put that out there.
Yeah.
Like someone just needs to make a fan edit of that, because that would be so fucking dude. I'm gonna kill you people.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome. And he's gonna be playing potentially a different ethnicity too, because isn't or isn't Kang like or not Doctor Doom? Isn't he from where the fuck is he from? He's from some other country. Like he's from like an Eastern European country. Because I know people were all up in arms because they were like, maybe we could get an actor from that region of the earth to play. I know it's a fake country that they make up for him, but like maybe we could get someone who geographically would make more sense. So he could be playing 3 ethnicities, because I'm sure you're gonna have like a Tony Stark, like an Ultra Iron Man or something from the multiverse. You know, they're not gonna just have him as Doom if you're gonna bring him back.
There's some weird rumor that Tom Cruise was gonna be Ultimate
Iron Man?
Yeah,
I saw that for Doctor Strange. I was actually kind of excited for that. I thought that would have been good. I thought they didn't go as hard as they should have went with the cameos in Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I thought they did. I think they did a fine job in Deadpool with all the cameos. Like that was like the perfect like. That's what I know a lot of people hate about like this multiverse thing.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna do it, they went all in with it. I thought that was fun. But yeah, I'm sorry. I could go nerd shit forever. All right, we'll segue.
Okay.
I wore this sweater today because I had to wear my best, because I don't know if you know this, but it's a very special day today. It is our King, our Lord and Savior's birthday. LeBron James just turned 40 years old.
Oh, wow.
Big 40. Have you seen any of the stuff regarding LeBron James and him being our king and it being his birthday today?
I heard of it in passing.
Yeah.
I've never been a big sports guy.
Oh.
I was into MJ as a kid, but like everyone was.
Yeah. I love MJ too.
Yeah.
I'm still like probably an MJ guy, but today LeBron is the GOAT.
For sure.
Today LeBron's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Did you see his LeBron Hennessy?
I did not know.
He's got the LeBron Hennessy now that you
Okay.
can buy. It's a special variation of Hennessy that's LeBron's. You know, he's got his like Sprite mix.
Yeah.
Sprite like LeBron's mix. You can also get LeBron Hennessy. I thought about buying some today, but I didn't have the time to go out and get it. But I got to show you some of these tributes people are doing. If there's one person you could sacrifice in the name of LeBron James, though, who would you prefer to sacrifice to offer up to our king? If anything, or maybe make a sacrifice yourself. I mean, obviously you're not as big of a sports guy as I am, so maybe it doesn't have to be as big as of a sacrifice, but we got to give him something. You know, it's a special day.
The head of like a healthcare organization or something like that.
Oh yeah, maybe that's what Luigi was doing, bro.
Yep.
That's what, dude. We were gonna before we get into the LeBron shit. We were talking about this before we went live. Last time you were on the show, we'd spent like 35 minutes talking about the CEO that smoked himself by being in this stupid submarine that he made himself and driving with the Nintendo 64 controller or whatever. And then we booked this a while ago, like maybe a month or so ago. And a week and some change, maybe 2 weeks since this CEO got popped. So I feel like we got to start having you on more. Because CEOs, if you're coming on the podcast, that means the CEO is in trouble. Who knows what could be happening right now?
So you're saying that you condone what he did? And you're putting a call to action to the people who are watching this right now.
My call to action?
And,
no. My call to action is anybody that hosts a podcast should reach out to this man. His Instagram's linked below. Check out his shows coming up. Reach out to him. Get him on your show because good things will happen for the world. But that's insane, dude. That is insane. I totally forgot about that. We almost skipped over that today. How has that been in the... I know when you were on and there was the submarine thing, I asked you about like the open mic scene and those jokes. Did everybody rush to this as well?
They did. It's hard to cover something that just happens and cover it in a way that everyone else isn't also doing. I went the route of my lifelong dream has always been to someday run my own privatized healthcare company.
Yeah.
And how this just breaks my heart because now it's apparently scary to do that because of the actions of one by man, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It is tough. if I wanted to get in the health insurance game, now would not be the best time. It was wild that during that, literally that week, I had just finished. I think the deadline was coming up to like apply for stuff for the upcoming year. Which I can't be the only person who was applying that week because I literally beat it in like the day or two before. They ended up extending. It's hilarious. This guy gets killed. Yeah. The next day, I believe, was the deadline. I got a text that morning that was like, we've extended the deadline till the 22nd or whatever it was. Like it was like the next week. It's like, that's interesting.
It's fascinating to see that it's also the Deborahs and Karens who are also okay with this. You know what I mean? There's a very huge disconnect between what any news outlet is saying their reaction should be versus what their reaction actually is.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's funny that anybody that does go on, like every once in a while, somebody will like get on a panel I've seen in the last couple of weeks that'll like must have slipped through some vetting process, and they will say something like what happened, not maybe pro what happened, but just kind of like, yeah, I get the sentiment, I get the reaction from everybody. This is why, and immediately they just like shut it down. They're like, no, that's insane. We're wrapping this up.
I did find myself rolling my eyes when the Daily Show went the preachy route about it.
Who broke it down on the Daily Show?
Damn, it was not Klepper.
Because it wasn't Stewart, right?
Huh?
It wasn't Jon Stewart. No, because I remember waiting for his reaction.
Jon Stewart is fairly based for someone who is as mainstream as he is.
Yeah, he doesn't miss a lot. I've seen him miss, but not a lot.
There's a difference between condoning and calling other people to kill someone, but you're not legally obligated to feel bad that someone died. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's I think that for the longest time we are okay with tragedy if it's done in like a civilized way, but is signing a piece of paper that then leads to thousands of people dying with a stroke of a pen, is that better than walking up to someone and shooting them in the back? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually heard that argument quite a bit, where it's like, this dude was killing people every day.
Yeah.
You know, or what, maybe not him specifically, but the direction that he's leading this company in is killing people every day. So, I mean, again, we don't have to, we're not sitting here being like, yeah, go smoke some CEOs. But also, we're just saying I'm not really that sad about it. I'm just not. I don't care. Like,
it is frightening if you are the establishment that the dude who did this is also hot. You know what I mean? Because we as a country love the aesthetics.
We do.
Of anything. Did you see him walk into court looking as fresh as I have ever seen a real life killer look?
The sales of the sweater he was wearing like skyrocketed. That's like a real thing. They fucking skyrocketed. And the other thing I think, you know what's interesting about it is that like I think they're like trying to charge him with terrorism.
I was gonna say, okay, murder is murder. Obviously, he's on fucking tape doing it. Like, regardless what your feelings are, if he's on tape doing the thing, then he's gonna go down for the thing. But it's obviously being done to dissuade people from doing the same thing he did.
Yeah.
But they never do this to dissuade like a school shooter. You know what I mean?
No.
There are people who have done mass shootings in jail right now.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting too with you talk about the aesthetics of things. I think like the media specifically would love if he was like, we say it all the time, and maybe this is fucked up. When I was coming up and school shootings were getting more and more prominent while I was like through grade school and high school.
Yeah.
You would maybe look at someone and be like, they give school shooter vibes. That was like that's a common thing. Like, oh, that's meaning you're maybe like an undesirable, maybe not well groomed human being. scary in the back of the classroom. You know, people are staying away from this person. That's school shooter vibes. I'm not saying it's right or whatever, but that's what people would say. I think that this being the opposite of that, like you're saying, does really fuck with that because they can't be like, look at this terrible human being. Like
I was disappointed when he turned out to be a Luigi Mangione, because in the first pictures that we got of him, he could have been South Asian. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this would be the first time that if he had been one of us, that a Muslim did something that is qualified as terrorism, that the rest of us are like, it would be such a good look for us if he was one of us.
Yo.
It would be very good for how people see us if this
guy
terrorism was done by us this one time.
Yeah, like why can't you guys get some good terrorism on your side, you know? Some good PR. That's great. Dude, I will say
He's fucking
I will say the
Italian, which isn't even a real race.
The face of the first images we saw versus him, it does look a little off to me. I mean, I know it's a different angle. It does look a little off, I will say.
I've heard that said. I think
I'm not like a conspiracy. I'm not going to go as far to say they got the wrong guy, but
he's grinning very big in the first one that came out,
and bro. He knew what he was about to do.
He was risen up the Starbucks.
How much confidence?
By the way, how male is it that this dude did everything perfect? But the second a hot girl was like, "Hey, you're cute. Can I see your smile?" I was like, "Oh, shots."
Yo, he's like, "Yeah, I got it." That
won't
is true.
do for pussy. It's just this dude was half an hour away from
the scene.
From murking a dude.
Was the Starbucks before or after?
I think he went there to get like a water and like a protein bar for his travels afterward, and so he went there. Then he killed a dude, and then he hopped the bus.
Wow. Yeah. Imagine how, like, I just picture, like, you know, I get up every day and I do pretty much the same stuff. Like, I have, like, my routine.
Yeah.
I just imagine, like, waking up that day, like, it's got to feel like his Super Bowl, you know? Like, he's got to have so much adrenaline in that Starbucks. He was probably so on it. That's why that barista was hitting on him.
Sure.
It was probably anything they said, bro. Like, he should have stopped by and done a mic, dude. He probably could have just, like, killed with some crowd work. No matter what anybody, that dude is... He is jacked up. So, of course, you know, he's going to be spitting game. And then, you know.
If he did an open mic directly after, I think it would go a long way in exonerating him of the crime. Because dudes who go to open mic, very rare that they're actually going to do anything of substance with their life. So.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, maybe he should have went to an open mic. I can't believe that that they got a McDonald's employee is the one that called him in. That's gotta suck.
Yeah.
To be that McDonald's employee. I mean, you're an idiot, like flat out. Like
I think it's interesting. Like he was not someone who appeared to be a loner in life. So I'm sure that he had many people who recognize him on TV. It's like, oh, that's probably our friend's son, our ex, or whatever, and no one said shit.
Yeah.
No one said shit.
And a rando called him in. Yeah, that is interesting. And they've been interviewing like all of his like friends and like ex like roommates and classmates and shit, and they're all like saying really positive things about him.
Yeah.
Like they're like, yeah, he got a little weird after he broke his back or whatever the fuck was going on. But like
he disappeared for a while after that, and like his friend, he was supposed to be involved in his friend's wedding as like a groom or something, and they showed some of the text messages. It's like, hey man, I haven't heard from you in a while, and you made a commitment.
Yeah.
And that is while this is going on, he is plotting a murder. It's very
Yeah. Do you think, is there any way like with them I'm not super, you know, maybe there's people that like follow law shit a little bit more than I do. But with like them charging him for terrorism, is this like going to be a case where like if he gets off on that, would that affect the other charges in like a way, like if they, instead of like them just going for murder, like the fact that they're trying to get terrorism? Because I do think he has a pretty good case of not being like not getting charged with terrorism.
Yeah.
Like if he were to win that, is there like a double jeopardy situation where they can't get him for the other shit, or can they still get him for the other shit?
I think the murder thing will always be on the table since he's just on camera doing that.
Yeah, but they can't. I mean, but
Yeah.
you can't see his face in that. In the shooting itself.
Sure, but hasn't, for the most part, he's done everything but confess that it was him. He had
I think so. Yeah.
He had the manifesto. He yelled at the cameras as he was being taken in. About
That was a bad look. Yeah. I mean, good look. For,
I mean, it's not like if he was trying to hide it, then yeah, it's a bad look. But it doesn't
Yeah.
seem like he's interested in doing that.
Yeah.
He said lived experience, which is a very, if you're using those terms, you are very, very in it.
Yeah. That was wild, man.
Yeah.
Maybe that's maybe Luigi was just offering it up to our king, our LeBron James. Did you find the thing I sent you? Did McKenna show you that today? Look up LeBron James birthday jersey tribute. Something to that effect. It's great. This is what people are doing on TikTok. I've got like 10 of these on my For You page today. If man, I don't think you're gonna be able to find on there. Let me just, I'll see if I can just like send it and have you pull it up. It's actually insane that this is. Here's what we'll do. Can they see on here? They won't be able to see it on here. I'll show you, and then he'll pull it up. Or how do you guys think we should do this? What's the best way? How about you look up? I'll just show you. All right, so this is LeBron.
Okay.
Do you see this?
I see it.
Are you understanding what's going on in this? They won't be able to see on there. But this is LeBron James. People are nutting on LeBron James jersey today. There's cum on there.
I did not see the cum on there.
Yeah. This is a...
What is that meant to signify?
For the GOAT, man.
Yeah.
People are just giving it up for the king. I've seen people post, there was this image of this man who LeBron fell on top of courtside.
Yeah.
And everybody in the comments is like, if you could guarantee that this happens every game, I will pay $25,000 ticket to sit courtside.
Wow.
If he was to fall in their lap.
You said he turned 40?
Yeah, he just turned 40. This is, dude, if I scroll, like, I mean, I'm not going to scroll through my other likes, but literally, like, this one's even wetter if they can see. I love this sound, too, by the way. It's one of my favorites. They just took the song, and it's LeBron's voice.
That's not much of a freak I am, but when I was in high school, I remember watching him tie his shoes for his first game.
Whoa.
And they cut away just to show that because they knew that this guy was going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And I watched it for a minute, and then I went back to watching, like, One Tree Hill, I think.
One Tree Hill.
Yeah.
There you go. Dude, I don't know, man. It is crazy to think that he's been in the league, like, basically my whole life. Like, I mean, I forget when he got drafted.
Long enough to have a son who is not good, but gets to be there.
Yeah. That's the American dream.
Yeah.
It really is, dude. I got to respect that. I feel like I would do the same thing, you know? If I was that good, I'd be like, yeah fuck it, dude.
But would you want to be the son who, like, doesn't measure up at all, but just gets to be there on virtue of being the spawn of the GOAT?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, I think, like, the way the game is played now, even though he's not as big as LeBron, he's not, like, you know, he doesn't have the same, like, vertical ability, all this other shit. Like, I do think there's a lot, like, the skill play is there.
Yeah.
So, like, he could just develop that if he really works hard at it. I'm not saying he's going to be a great player, but I do think the benefit he has in this situation, whereas, like, if Michael Jordan had brought, like, his son in, I don't know that. And his son was, like, if it was, like, the same scale, right, like, his son kind of sucked during that time, I don't know that he would have had any hope, because it's like you just had to be crazy athletic to be in the NBA. I mean, there were shooters for sure, and there were guys with great footwork, but, like, you also just had to be crazy athletic. Now, because Steph Curry and sort of Golden State has kind of revolutionized basketball, he could, I mean, realistically, if he just got a deadly shot, like a deadly three-point shot, he could play anywhere. Not going to be a star guy.
I don't think there's been a son who has, like, measured up to his all-time great dad since Jesus. And
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. That's a good point. I think Jesus is probably number one.
Yeah.
Wow, that's tough. So maybe we should just stop doing it then. Just stop trying to have our son do the same thing as us. It's a bad idea.
Sure, but Jesus also like kind of gave birth to himself in the lore. You know what I mean?
Did he?
Well, God in the Christian version of it, like birthed himself in the form of a human who was his son, but was then also him, and then he had to kill his human self because some of us are gay and we need to repent to the human God who is also his son but is also him in order to not go to hell in these very specific rules that God himself has made but is also bound to.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of interesting because if he created all things, like why did he make my homie gay? You know?
Yeah.
Like if it's so wrong.
Well, I think that
or did he not make him gay? And he's
the devil's influence. So the devil is gay, and then God was like, "You're my son, but you can't be gay, so you have to."
You gotta go.
Yeah, you have to live in hell. Hell is like Pride Underground. And then then Satan, to piss his father off, he made humans gay also. And then God is like, hey, I know you think you're gay, but this is just my son fucking with you because we have a really like complex history. Yeah.
Whoa, yeah. Dude, that was something that I thought was funny back when Lil Nas X was popping, and he did that whole video with him in hell or whatever, like working on the devil, and Christians were so mad about it. And I remember being like, dude. And he said it himself. He was like, yo, my whole life, people told me I would go to hell. I was going to hell for being gay. Mm-hmm. So then I went to hell for being gay. Now you guys are mad that I'm using this satanic imagery alongside my gay shit. And it's like, y'all made the rule. I'm just playing in what y'all told me to play in. I don't, I think that was bringing it back to This Is the End, dude. I think that was like one of my favorite parts about that movie, though, was that like all of the like rich, wealthy people from Hollywood were the people that were left after the rapture. Yeah. Like anybody that was good, all like the regular human beings, we all were accepted into whatever afterlife. Yeah. And it's all like the piece of shit actors and comedians or whatever. I just thought that was kind of funny. But dude, so there's no other sons on the same level as them. But it's really not fair because he is his son.
Yeah.
From how you
that's the point that I was trying to get to.
But kind of LeBron, it might be LeBron and Bronny, because they share the same name. They share the same face. They're on the same team.
So who is the Holy Ghost in this Trinity? Because there's it's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
Who's the Holy Ghost in? I don't know how it works in Christianity.
I think
the
Holy
separate
Ghost
entity, or is it also God?
Also God, just a different.
I
don't know.
Whoever wrote that shit
needs
to get their story straight, because that's whack, man. That's bad writing.
Yeah,
that's whack writing.
I think that religion is the like OG fandom.
Yeah, it's like but it sounds like a kind of like one of the really bad CW shows.
Yeah,
or like maybe something that was on like TBS like after an NBA game, and you're like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like I don't get it.
But somehow it got the most seasons.
It did. Yeah. I think it's the music. Man. Yeah. Like an organ, like as like a classical instrument. Like that goes hard.
And the paradox of that is, if you've heard Christian rock, very gay.
So gay, dude. So gay.
What? They love Jesus to an extent that I don't think that is okay. I don't.
It is a little gay.
Yeah.
Because God's a man, right? In Christianity, like he's clearly a man.
I mean, what else could he possibly be?
I mean, they say he, him, yeah. So that is a little gay to love another man like that. Yeah. That's a good point.
And they want to get down on their knees and worship him also.
It's no wonder why so many people that like come up in the church end up being gay.
Yeah.
Like you're really prepping them. Like they talk about like we can't have drag shows in school, or we can't like teach people like, what lesbians are. But like you're having your kid,
and then they have you eat him also.
That's what I'm saying. Like every Sunday, you teach your kid to get on their knees and put him in their mouth.
What is the white wine meant to be?
That's,
you know what I mean?
Subjective, right? That's what I'm saying. What do you think is maybe the second gayest religion? Is there one that comes close to Christianity, or is Christianity just so gay that nothing else is close?
Second gayest religion. I think they're the main ones kind of go hand in hand in hand. They're kind of
in gayness
variations of the same story, just with different twists. Muslims believe in Jesus almost exactly the same, except they believe he's one of the prophets and not they don't believe he's God's son. They don't think that God had a son in in that way. They also think the person who was crucified was a decoy because God didn't want the actual Jesus to suffer that.
So God was out here lying? Because a decoy that's a lie, right?
He just put some rando in.
That's so terrible. Yeah. That's worse.
It is worse. Yeah.
That's okay. This is I think they made a movie similar to this recently, but for years that is one comedy movie I've wanted to make. That's like, what if we could, the movie takes place back in biblical times, and someone plays Jesus Christ, right? And it's like total bum scammer, and him and his boys come up with this grand idea to scam everybody, and they come up with Christianity. And I think
do you think that's what actually happened?
No, but I think that would be a really fun. I mean, maybe, but that would be hilarious, dude. As a movie, have you seen these? I don't know if you saw. Are you familiar with the movie The Room? And then The Disaster Artist was the movie kind of showing it was with James Franco before he got in trouble for everything. He plays Tommy Wiseau, and they kind of show how this movie was made, because it's notoriously the worst movie ever made or whatever.
Yeah,
I think it would be great if we did that, a movie like that that's a fake biopic.
Yeah,
but from a very cynical perspective. Yeah, where it's and comedy first. It's got to be a comedy movie.
Dogma, I think it was.
No.
Probably my favorite Kevin Smith film.
Oh, okay. What's it about?
It's so the main plot is that there are these two angels who have been cast down for falling out of favor, played by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, because of course who else would so they figure out that if you go to a church and confess your sins, that you are forgiven of any wrongdoing. So they're gonna go and do that, therefore be let back home.
Yeah.
But in doing so, they would have proven God wrong, and if God is proven wrong, then the universe dies. So the heroes are trying to stop these angels from doing that,
from going back to heaven.
Yeah,
or trying
because they can't, because the angels' plot would prove that God's ways has loopholes in it.
Yeah.
And in proving that, it would undo existence itself.
Interesting. Plot movie. Wow, dude. So if I'm doing anal, then that could, there's a chance the universe could just stop. Because because the poop hole is the loophole, of premarital sex, they say.
Yeah.
So technically I'm risking,
but
I'm not an angel, I guess.
Sure.
So if an angel had anal, that could be another way that the universe could explode.
Sure, but I think I think sodomy is a sin, right?
Maybe. Is it?
I don't know.
Maybe. I think everything's
I've heard
a sin
something.
I've
heard something about which passages they choose to fixate on. It's also sinful to eat shellfish, I think.
Yeah. What's the gayest shit Muslims believe?
The gayest shit Muslims believe?
Yeah, what do they believe that's gay? This has got to be something.
No, I think they're just right about everything.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Their God is it. Really? Okay.
Are you of the very anti anti Muslim uh mindset?
No, I'm
is that your thing?
pretty.
Do you specifically hate them?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No, not specifically. Not specifically. No, I'm just pretty skeptical of most organized religion. I think most
I'm
people
of
are.
the same
Yeah.
mind. I think
Yeah.
that I think that I'm open to the possibility that the universe works in a way that there's a conscious being or beings, but I think for the most part what's written in all those books are men trying to control other men of their time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I just think it's kind of lame that no one's dropped anything new.
Yeah.
Like, God made what 1.5 albums? Like, he made like
Well,
the Old Testament and the new one. And he came out with
Scientology
nothing?
tried, and we canceled them almost instantly because I guess that's what we do now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you think about it, dude. You can't make good religion today.
The Zeno story kind of slaps. I think
What is that?
Xenu is like the alien being who is like their god. I might be wrong. There was
The
a South
lizard?
Park episode about it, and I'm
Oh.
assuming that everything in it is true.
Yeah, as we should. Yeah, dude. I think that we do need maybe some more religions, or at least
Yeah.
some religion. Like, I don't know. I think like the religions that we accept now, they lack some flavor, man. They lack some flavor. Like even you look back at like Greek mythology, like that's
Yeah.
kind of fun. At least it's fun. Like there's
Yeah.
lots of like
Do you know
inconsistencies.
what I think is crazy is that we watch Thor and Loki and Odin now as these very clearly fictional superhero characters, but people believed in that the same way we believe
Oh, yeah.
in Jesus now.
Yeah, people were probably out there naked dancing, like hoping Thor would like
Yeah,
bless
and
them with a
that's the thing.
thunderstorm.
Like, give it 1,000 more years, and will there be an MCU version of the things that people think are real now?
Dude, I hope if they're gonna go with a white Jesus, that is like 90% of my comment section. So maybe I could get cast.
I want the movie where Satan was expelled from heaven because he's gay, and his payback is to make other people gay also.
Yeah, dude, that would be a fun movie
Yeah.
plot too.
Yeah.
I think if there's any Hollywood execs listening that are trying to find that next golden comedy, I think we got a couple in this episode that they could steal. You know, I think that would be fun. That'd be really fun. Who would you have play him?
Gay Satan.
That would be a fun character to
Yeah.
play, bro.
Yeah.
But you have to go with someone who's actually gay, probably. Right? Or else gay people are probably gonna be mad. They're not gonna
I'm
support the movie.
thinking Neil Patrick Harris.
He'd be good.
Playing Barney, but just as Satan who is gay.
That'd be pretty good. That could go pretty hard.
Yeah.
That could go pretty hard. Yeah, and I bet the parties in hell
Yeah.
probably better. Right?
If you reel this one thing out of context of this whole thing, definitely have it be the part where I said that hell is just pride.
Yeah,
Just that one one.
That'll go over well.
Just strip it of all context and just me saying that.
Yeah, that'll go over super well. Is there anything we didn't get to today? I know we're getting close on time. As I know you got the mic after this. Is there anything we didn't get to today that we need to get to before we wrap?
I think we covered about
Covered some
everything.
religions.
Yeah.
We covered some movies. A
Yeah.
CW show that I didn't know that you loved as much as I do.
I've
That's
seen,
awesome.
Yeah, the TVD, True Blood, Buffy. I'm into all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, dude.
The only thing that, like, when I speak to a woman, I go straight to their shows because it's the one thing that I know.
Yeah, Vampire Diaries. That's true.
Bridgerton, I've seen every season, and the Queen, Charlotte spinoff also.
Really?
I'm very into all that shit. Yeah.
You mess with Bridgerton? Is it good? My
I do,
girlfriend's
I
always
do,
trying to get
I
me to
do.
watch it.
Yeah.
What's there for sell men on Bridgerton right now? Sell men on Bridgerton that are hesitant.
Okay.
Why should we watch it?
God, there's absolutely no reason that would appeal to most men who are watching this. I am just a very unique person who finds the things that women find interesting also interesting. I did gravitate to the fact that the main dude in the first season was a guy who had a stutter who was depicted as the sexy guy of the show, because that's almost never the case.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because normally stuttering is depicted as like a lack in confidence. It's depicted as not sexy whatsoever. To see the dude that the audience thirsted over having a stutter was fairly cool.
Yeah. Well, that's got to be very. I didn't even notice that at all.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the show, so I didn't know that. Interesting. Wow. Okay, that's a good point. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a niche, maybe reason, but I respect it though.
A reason for men to watch it. If you watch every season of Bridgerton with your girl, she will then have to listen to the podcast of your choosing after that.
That's a fair trade, I think. That's a fair trade. Plus, there's a lot of spicy scenes too, right? There's a lot of spicy scenes. I feel like every time I walk in on her watching it, it's at like a scene where they're getting naked or they're like, maybe making out.
Yeah,
or
but
something.
scenes where men are like very good at sex are like not for us. They shame us by being as skilled as they are.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. It's tough to live up to,
Yep.
So that's fair. But yeah, she does get embarrassed because I always seem to walk in right when it's like that going on. It's like when you listen to like rap music and you're like listening to it the whole time in your room, and then your mom walks in and like that's when like every slur imaginable comes out and every other curse word, and you're like, I swear to God, he was talking about some really profound stuff a second ago.
Yeah.
You just happen to watch, and she's like, turn this shit off right now. It's like,
would not be worse if your mom walked in as they were saying all the slurs and she was like, well, I guess there is something good about this guy after
Dude,
all.
that would be worse. She was like, I was going to tell you to shut this shit off, but
Yeah.
actually, yeah, that is that's a good point, man. Well, do you have any shows coming up or anything that people should be on the lookout for in the coming weeks and months of the new year?
The shows I got coming up by the time I'm doing coaches on New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And I have a few shows next year. The info I always post on my socials. So I don't know the dates offhand, but I'm sure they'll be on there.
And we've got a link down below too, so people can check that out. And stay up to date with you and everything you got going on, man. But I really appreciate you making the time to be here and nerding out with me for a little bit. It's always fun to get to chat.
Hell yeah, man.
So I appreciate you taking the time. I also want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in live, as well as people that are listening here on YouTube or days after over on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Want to say a quick shout out to our patrons. Should be up on the screen right now. If you guys are interested in getting behind the scenes access to extra videos, extra podcasts, as well as a series where I break down how I mix, master, write, record every single one of my songs, go to patreon.com/Darren Rita, and you can help support the channel for as little as $1. So you get shout out at the end of every episode as well. Also want to say a quick shout out to Alpine House 2 for sponsoring this episode. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, guys, at ALPINEHAUS 2 on Instagram. Check them out. Let them know that we sent you over there. With all that being said, man, this has been the 287th episode of the Detox Podcast.